Hi there, I'm Mark Simon, and I want to introduce you to my latest book, Start at the Top, Inspirational Stories to Get You Off Your Ass. One of the stories I'm asked about the most is how I landed a job with Steven Spielberg after only 15 minutes of trying. And I recently gave this talk at a university, and so instead of reading it from the book to you, I figured I'll just play that. Now in the book, it's in section 4. It's definitely worth a read. But let's go ahead and listen. My dream job. I'll tell you about the time I got my job with Steven Spielberg. Okay, this is my dream job I got in 15 minutes. This is how I did it. I was working at Universal Studios. I was the second designer at Nickelodeon when we opened up here. Okay, my wife and I opened up the studios. And I heard that Sequest was coming into town. I was a fan of the first season, which was shot out in LA. They're moving it to Orlando. Steven Spielberg, science fiction, biggest show on TV. What's not to love, right? So they were officed in what's called Building 22. It's a central building, a lot of rental offices in there. And I was off on the other side, over in the Nickelodeon buildings. And I thought, all right, who do I know in Building 22? Patty. Patty is that friend of yours that everyone has who talks way too much to everybody, right? You all know this person. So I figure, well, Patty's probably talked to someone on this crew because, well, she's Patty. So I call her up. I said, Patty, it's Mark. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Great. Hey, look, you know... Hey, I told you it only took me 15 minutes, right? So I said, Patty, have you met anyone on the Sequest crew? She goes, not really. Well, 2 days ago I had lunch with the construction coordinator, Mike. I went, great. I started as a construction coordinator. Look, I want you to introduce me. I'll be at your office in 5 minutes, and I hung up. Because I didn't want to give her the chance to say no. So I run over to her office. I have my portfolio with me. I go up. Patty, great. How you doing, Mark? Great. Let's go see if we can find Mike. Yeah, okay. So we walk out. We're walking between the sound stages. And sure enough, here comes Mike out of one of the sound stages. Patty, how you doing? Mike, hey, great seeing you. Lunch, on. Hey, Mike, I want you to meet this friend of mine, Mark. At which point, I forget Patty exists. Mike, hey, I hear you're the construction coordinator. I started doing that. I did it for HBO, and I was over at Roger Corman's studio doing the same thing. Hey, I'd love to see the sets. It looks like great stuff you're doing. He goes, yeah. So we're walking around a little bit, and I said, I'd love to get on the crew. So what do you do? Well, I do I knew I couldn't get on as art director because I knew they were bringing him out. So well, look, I do storyboarding and set design. I would do anything to work on a Spielberg project, right? I said, either one of those. He goes, well, we could use both. He said, great, who should I talk to? He goes, well, probably the production designer, Vaughn, would be the one to talk to. Great, is he around? He might be in his office. I said, cool, can you introduce me? He goes, sure. Guy I've never seen before. So we go walking upstairs to Vaughn's office. Luckily, Vaughn is sitting right there. Vaughn Edwards, great guy. So Mike walks me in and says, hey, Vaughn, I want you to meet this great guy, Mark Simon. At which point, I forget Mike exists. and he said, so what do you do? I said, well, I'm a set designer and I do storyboarding. He goes, well, I'd love to see your stuff. Well, I just happen to have it with me. I'm not dumb. All right, so I lay it out, and he looks at everything. He says, hey, this all looks great. I'm not the one who makes the final decision. Oh, who does? He goes, well, it would probably be Oscar Costo, the supervising producer. I said, cool. Is he around? He goes, yeah, he's probably in his office. Can you introduce me? Sure. So he walks me down to Oscar's office. Oscar's in his office. Massive office. You love supervising producers, right? So he walks me in, says, Oscar, this is Mark Simon. He's a great set design and story artist. I looked at all the stuff. Either one works great for me. He goes, cool, come on in. So I walk in, and I didn't forget who Vaughn was because he's a production designer. Nice guy. So I walk in. I lay my stuff out for Oscar. He literally just flips through it, closes it. Like, whoa, that fast. He goes, look, met a lot of people here who can do set design just like you. Like, oh, boy, that's not a good way to start this. He goes, but you're the only one around here who understands storyboarding. You're hired. And that was it. Within 15 minutes, I was now the storyboard artist on the best project I've ever worked on. Because I went there and I did it. And I just talked to people. So in the book, after each of these stories, I also talk about what I learned from it. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. There's a whole section in here on my major fuck-ups. Here's what I get out of this one. So I landed the gig quickly because I approached them in person and found a way to get inside. I didn't limit myself to the standard approach of phone call or letters. I met them in person and I demonstrated my passion, and they quickly got the idea of who I was. Anytime you want to land a job, show up in person. It shows tenacity, and people get to know you faster in person than in any other way. And a cool thing, there's a lot of photos in here too, just to prove that these things actually happen. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. I really hope you pick up my book. There's a lot of great stories in here about how paying dues is for other people.